There's a rather splendid Cromwell ready to go.
Hey folks, Rather Splendid Cromwell here, and today we're going to be having a look into the art of the Company of Heroes franchise. I'm aware that with the recent release of COH3, there are a lot of issues in the forefront of COH3 in regards to balance, pace, glitches, bugs, etc. But today I want to talk about the pathetic imagery of COH and how it's lost its way in the most recent installment of the franchise. I could just mention a little bit about me, just so you know that I'm not some random guy talking about something he knows nothing about. I'm a BA honors graduate in visual communications, which is basically like graphic design. I was focused in the area of illustration. I also work at the RAMC Reserve and have a good idea about the aesthetics of military imagery, and I'm a huge co-fan since 2006. The idea occurred to make this video when I found my old copy of Co-1. The image on the box strikes me now as it did over 15 years ago. I feel like that doesn't happen anymore. Maybe it's because back then you needed striking imagery to get your product off the shelf, but that rarely occurs nowadays, as games no longer take the appearance of discs and boxes, and so the art is perhaps less mandatory. I'm sure if you've played Co 3, you might feel the same disappointment I do when I'm faced with some of the art in Co 3, especially in the main menu and the loading screens. However, I think it's important to understand how we got to this point. In order to do that, we have to go back to 2006 and the release of Co 1. Art of Co 1 is without a doubt the best in the franchise. Look at how marvelous some of these illustrations are. Soldiers taking up positions in this beautifully illustrated French town, the dark, bleak ruins of this little French church after some kind of bombing or battle. Look at this beautiful use of elevation, the smoke climbing out of frame, and the Allied planes swooping in to create this vivid and dynamic shot. The sheer scope and scale of some of these illustrations are purely marvelous. You can really see there's a lot of passion and heart in these drawings. These illustrations and wallpapers create an emotional depth that made you want to both explore the game, but also made you conscious of the subject matter and the great sacrifices made by these everyday people. Basically, what I'm trying to say is
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
this very polite Reddit user who is making a post about my alternative Co 3 artworks inspired from cinema, which I'll show you later, is asking a very interesting question. Let's just look at the post real quick. I love the art post by they highlight a pet peeve of mine. I really think the artist who is posting the film-inspired artworks is a great artist who's doing a good job. Oh, thanks, man. But the commenters who go, "Oh wow, much less cartoonish, I love it," highlights something that really frustrates me a lot. He goes on to pose the question about color in kind of war media and how it reflects it. He asks, "Is it possible to treat a subject matter with dignity while gamifying it? And how do we know that gray is respectful and not fetishization?" Hmm. Well, I guess the shortest answer to that would be Company Heroes 1.
The GOAT!
You know, it had some nice color in the conceptual arts, as we just seen, and I think it treated the subject matter with a lot of dignity. Yeah, I feel like the characters, if you want to call them that, in Coven Heroes 1, they just felt like regular men thrown into these terrible situations. The characters in Co 3, they sort of look like almost Fortnite characters. They are a little bit cartoonish, and I find it a little bit off-putting. I think before we go any further, we should listen to the Co 3 art team and what they feel like their direction has been.
Authenticity has always been a very important part of our franchise, a pillar really. And on the art side, in order to really achieve an authentic game, we need to do a lot of research online. We talk to historians, we talk to the community quite a bit.
You know, when I'm looking at Co3 and ways that we can infuse story into our art, vehicles comes up a lot. For example, things like the attachments, accessories that we put on vehicles, from soldiers' helmets to backpacks, you know, bedrolls, that kind of thing.
Effects art direction for COH3 is in the same vein as COH1 and COH2, but closer to the realism end of the spectrum instead of the Hollywood end of the spectrum. On COH3, we try and create this authentic experience. For effects, is going through all the reference that we could possibly find. We watch reams of World War II documentaries, read some books, technical diaries.
Well, we can see from just a brief glimpse at this video that the art team are very focused on authenticity, striving for an authentic experience, referencing old books, World War II footage, yada yada. So let me ask you this. If they're going for the most authentic experience yet, how come all their models look like they're from Team Fortress 2?
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
Not to say that all of the work has been bad. I mean, look at some of these illustrations. They're absolutely beautiful. I don't understand why they don't use these instead of the ones they currently have in place, because these are frankly great. Speaking of illustrations, if we just have a quick look here at the ones that are currently in the kind of single-player COH3 campaign loading screens, they are, well, they're not good. I think we can all agree that no one wants to see these ever again. The next art theme I'd like to talk about is faction symbols and themes. If we look at COH2's faction symbols first, we find grand symbols full of character and expression of the faction's personalities. Now, if we compare these symbols to the ones here in COH3, we see very simple, very flat symbols, no personality, very basic, no accompanying themes or art styles. To me, this feels like the bare minimum. The team, in my eyes at least, have failed to reach a standard they've already reached in their previous installments of the franchise. I would love to see someone else in the community address this and look for some acknowledgement or promise of improvement from Relic in a future patch. I'm usually not one to complain something without at least offering a solution. Over the last, well, since COH3 released, I've been working on my own COH3 Alternative ART, and well, I'll just like to share that with you now. Some people say my drawings don't fit well into the theme of the game, and they're right if the theme is Fortnite characters in World War II uniforms. I've drawn inspiration from more traditional means, films that recognize the struggle of the soldier, and the great courage these everyday men and women conjured in the most challenging time in modern history. After all, this franchise is about heroes, so why don't we show them?
That's it! They're on the run! See? Or something stronger.